Alright everyone, now it's time to talk about how the writing is on the wall. The Democrats are aware of the fact that they're going to get hammered in the midterms. At this point, it's basically just a matter of how hard they get hammered. Do they lose the Senate? Do they lose the House? The latter is a 99% chance. The former, little more than 50-50 at this point, but it's by no means assured. What is going to happen is that the Democrats and the neocons, they're already losing in all these primaries. Wait for Liz Cheney next month and you'll see. What's happened is that the Democrats know that they're going to get curb stomped. They have never wanted Joe Biden to serve a second term. They are going to heap abuse upon him when they lose and act like it's not the larger dysfunction of the party. And they're going to attempt to get him to stand down for 2024. And you already see them laying the groundwork. They're already bringing up the age question for a reason. Number one, they expect Trump to run. Trump is in his mid-70s. Number two, they worry Hillary Clinton will attempt to displace Joe Biden. They're also worried about a Bernie Sanders potential run, and Elizabeth Warren, who I don't think they particularly like. They can attempt to block all of these people with one very simple strategy, and this is why it will be used. When they lose the midterms, they will say it is clearly Biden's fault. He's reigned over a shit economy. Some of them will say he didn't do enough. Others will say he did too much. Well, he wrecked the economy with inflation, with the spending, Manchin, and others will say, I told you so. The left will say, well, you didn't do the Green New Deal. You didn't do student loan debt forgiveness. You didn't do UBI. That's the problem. But all roads lead to Biden. It's his problem. They're already bringing up the specter of the concept of cognitive decline, which is real. He clearly has Alzheimer's disease. They're not wrong when they bring this up. But it's really, really convenient now, isn't it? It's convenient that they all coalesced behind an ancient, withered old hag that clearly already had dementia when he was running in the primaries, albeit it's gotten demonstrably worse since then. Honestly, I'd be surprised if he's physically capable of running a 2024 campaign. I don't know that Joe Biden, after another year and a half, is going to be physically competent to run. He may be wheelchair bound by that point. When you're at that age, when you're pushing 80, which he is, he's 80 relatively soon, you get to the point where there's no possible way that you can justify continuing to perform in that kind of job role. Usually when people get to that point, they're in academia and they get a cherished advisory position. They get a special position whereby they're not really actively teaching, but they come in for a lecture once in a while. They were a fire person. Now they're 80. Okay, we get it. You really love putting out fires. We're going to keep you in the firehouse. You've got your seat and your locker and stuff, but we really don't need you to be going into buildings on call at 2 a.m. and stuff like that. Get you your cup of coffee. You can pet the fire dog and shit like that. But it's basically an honorific position. When police, they get older, you don't really want an 80-year-old cop on the beat. It's just not a great idea. They're not going to be able to physically perform generally as well as their younger counterparts. You know, if they take the steroids that they need to get built, they might blow a gasket. They might suffer an aneurysm. Biden's had several of them. What's going to happen is extremely clear. If you just look at the preamble to the midterms, they expect to lose despite their bravado. They're gearing up to blame Biden, and they're gearing up to dovetail that with Biden is just too fucking old. They're going to make the argument that he can't run in 24 because of that age. That means a lengthy primary process, probably. They will throw their weight behind some Johnny-come-lately controlled opposition Democrat who will represent neoliberalism despite all of the leftoidism that they pretend to support. It could be Newsom, it could be Harris, it could be Buttigieg. We're not exactly sure yet. That is what they will do because of the entrenched machine politics of the Democratic Party. It's very convenient because their likely opponent happens to be of similar age. Trump is 4 years younger than Joe Biden, and the same age as Hillary Clinton, roughly the same age as Elizabeth Warren. If you want to block them all at once, you just say the reason that we lost so badly is because Biden was too old to make good decisions. He got old, he didn't have he's not spry enough anymore, he's not mentally withered enough, and he can't cope with the workload and shit like that. He needs to stand down, and the Democrats, watch. They'll start discussing age limits for the U.S. presidency, completely ignoring the age of people like Pelosi, Schumer, McConnell, etc., all the neocons and neolibs cluttering Congress. That won't be on the table. Only for the chief executive. You watch, you wait and see, and you'll see many, many murmurings of this. It won't wait until after the midterms when the Democrats lose the House by a huge margin, which is what will happen. I'm estimating a minimum of 25 seats at the moment, and that's probably on the low side. I think 40 is certainly within the within the context. It's definitely possible. But they're going to lose all across the board. In most of these races, you'll have people deviating from party line, like a Stacey Abrams, people that are younger, people that aren't directly connected to Biden at all. They'll still be losing, but you will be urged to ignore these things. Likewise, Republicans will get browbeaten by the entire legacy media. It's already happening now with regards to Trump's age. Well, he's just too old. You shouldn't support him. See, Biden lost everything, and it's all because of his age. Pelosi says so, even though she's older than Biden, I think. And so you shouldn't run Trump. It's too risky. He's too old. He might have a problem when he's in office, so you should nominate somebody younger. You should nominate DeSantis or whatever. That will be used as a strategy because they're terrified of Trump. Biden was never meant to run again anyway. He wasn't meant to get a second term. He is literally the placeholder, the asterisk administration, the stewardship of Joe Biden. I've said this now for several years. He is a steward. He's the person that you put into power, but you don't give them any power. You let other people call the shots, generally. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's taking commands from the Easter Bunny. You keep him in there for a little while. People naturally sour on him anyway. You let yourself lose the midterms because, you figure there's enough neocons in the GOP that it won't matter too much. And then you fill that position with somebody younger. A dark horse, an Obama-esque candidate. Oh, again, it's almost like history repeating itself. Out of nowhere comes the dark horse galloping forward in the polls to save the republic against elderly Biden and evil orange man poopy pants Trump. The story writes itself. They're setting up to do this sort of mythological fantasy fic thing. It's quite clear that this is what will happen. I have no doubt whatsoever. They're going to try to block Trump. The real goal is to block Trump. They're trying to keep him from running, and he'll probably run anyway. They're trying to keep him from getting nominated, or at the very least beat him up with a lengthy primary battle against one or more potentially viable candidates, which he overcomes, but then he's embattled, where the Democrats will seamlessly coalesce around the next person who is capable of casting themselves off in what effectively is an actor's or actress's role as the middle-of-the-ground candidate. Yes, I hear the pleas of the young and of the left. I understand that student loans suck, and you want more socialism, whatever. I understand the healthcare system's broken. They'll pay lip service to that. Meanwhile, they'll be a goddamn neoliberal. They'll be just like Kamala Harris. Spends her entire life as a vulture prosecutor and a neolib, pretends to move to the id-pol left for electoral purposes, falls flat but gets bought up anyway by the Biden asterisk administration because she happens to be black and female, and that's the only reason that she was chosen as running mate, and then the rest is history. And the upcoming attacks on Biden will be mainly coming from liberals. Not from conservatives. They'll be chuckling. They'll be too busy laughing about the fact that the Democrats just lost 30, 40 House seats. The Democrats, they'll dogpile Biden immediately, and they will pretend that he is the sole reason for their political problems. That's about all. Peace out.